Hello guys, welcome to our first real lecture in this course. We'll explore how online platforms like Netflix, Amazon or Spotify seems to know exactly what you want next. That's the power of recommender systems. So in this course is all about understanding systems that recommend things, whether that's a song, movie, books or even friends on social media. We'll learn how these systems decide what to recommend and why. So the question you may ask is, can anyone name a website that gives you recommendations daily? So Netflix is one, right? And there are many others. The moment we open our social media, we see the ads that we just spoke about. That is also a power recommender system, which which means the recommender system RS is everywhere. So so we need to understand systems, recommender systems to obviously uh, it's a title about it's a title of the course, right? So at times we can suffer from information overload, but this is not very good for us for the fact that we simply don't need too much information to choose from. The problem isn't the lack of data, it's too many choices. Recommender system actually helps you filter from this chaos. So let's take an example of ice cream. So uh, if I ask you to taste five flavors of ice cream and tell me your favorite, it's easy, right? But what if there are 10 millions of flavors? You would give up. That's exactly how users feel online. Recommender systems are like your friend who says you will love the chocolate hazelnut. So let's move forward. So what's the importance of recommender systems? Recommender systems um, gives you recommendations, right? So recommendations are not just about convenience; they are business critical. Like Netflix and Amazon rely heavily on song, and for engagement, Amazon earns a big part of their sales through this, and the user love the platform that actually understands them. So let's take another example for pizza. So here is a simple analogy. Like cyclist A and B both like pizza plus salad. If B also like Coca-Cola, we might also recommend Coca-Cola to cyclist A. That's the core logic. People with similar taste might like similar things. Since both of them are cyclists, so they may probably like similar things, right? So recommendation visual, as you might see, if you're viewing watches, you might see a set of watches and daras. Simply an example of anime series. If you're watching this sort of anime, you will be recommended with a few other animes as well. So this is what I can show you visually. Each line or circle represents users and item connected through their preference. So the systems basically identify relationships and uses them to predict new preferences. So let's discuss the formulation of recommender system. Let's formalize it. U is the set of users and I is the set of items. If we give a function which is given U and I, the user and item, it's a utility. How useful an item I is to user U. Alright. So what we want to do is that we want to pick the item that maximizes this function. We need to pick that item that actually is the most useful for our users. This is how recommender system works. So if Netflix A user, Netflix user A maybe, the system tries to find which movie maximizes um, the enjoyment score of the user A. So that movie will be recommended. So, a formal definition right here: a recommender system matches users with items. It's a bridge between too much information and what truly is relevant. It helps improve user experience, boost sales, and even suggest new things that you may like. So, how does it work? So, a recommender system can be based on your past behavior, what you clicked, watched, or bought, similar users, people just like you, and similar items, and context like time, location, or device. So, these are the four things recommendation can be based on. So, what's the paradigm of a recommender system? Different ways exist to design recommender system, and we call them paradigm. So, one is collaborative, one is content based, one is demographic, and one is social or trust based, and lastly hybrid, which is mix of all. So we'll be discussing this throughout the course, and stay tuned for this. So let's mention the fact that most modern system uses a hybrid of multiple techniques. So what is collaborative approach? Let's just dive into it. So collaborative filtering basically says tell me what's popular among my peers. If there are several users, so it can be user based or item based, right? So it's still one of the common most technique to develop recommender system based on collaborative paradigm, which is collaborative filtering. So we can ask that how might we measure similarity between two users. Now this leads to some new thing, which is collaborative approach. So this one doesn't care about other user, it focuses on item. If I liked an action movie starring Tom Cruise, recommend other another action movie, maybe with the same actor or genre. So this is content based approach. Um, but this was the content based approach. So basically, you recommend me an item based on the feature that I just liked. Just like I mentioned that if a guy likes action movie with Tom Cruise, so it gonna recommend another action movie with the same actor or a different genre or same genre. So what is demography based? The demography based is basically these use demographic info like age, city, education. For example, students in Karachi might get laptop or hostel food recommendation very different from retirees in Canada. So obviously the need of a Karachi student is different from what is in Canada, right? So this way you're gonna be recommended according to the city you live in. If you live in Karachi or Toronto, obviously it differs. The age, obviously not everybody needs a school bag. A child does, but not a 40-year-old, right? So this way, a demographic based approach might also work in recommender system. So other approaches include social or trust based recommender system that uses your network, what your friends like. For example, Facebook recommends group because your friends join them. So hybrid systems combine all methods to improve accuracy, right? One important concept in recommender system is serendipity. Serendipity is basically means sometimes gives you pleasant surprises. हर बार अगर आप वही देखोगे जो आपको पसंद है, so you will feel bored, right? You will feel कि यार ये वही चीज़ आ जा रही है बार बार जो हमें पसंद थी. So sometimes the user wants to get a pleasant surprise. Sometimes it's good to recommend something unexpected, like Netflix suggesting a documentary when you usually watch comedies. That keeps user exploring. So let's go towards the summary. So today we learned what recommender systems are and why they matter, and the main type of recommender approach used. In the next lecture we'll dive deep into the famous one, which is collaborative filtering. We just went through this. Let me also see how many approaches we went through. When was collaborative approach, which had user based and item based. User base is obviously find people like me. Item based is find things similar to what I liked. So another one was content based approach. In this, it doesn't care about other user. It focuses on item features. If I like action movie, obviously just like I gave example earlier, if I like an action movie, so another time it would recommend me an action movie with the same actor or maybe the same genre, one thing or the another. So it depends on the item features in content base, not the item, right? Item features. While in collaborative we had user based and item based, just recommended simply the items that is similar and the user which is similar. Lastly, we got through demographic based approach, in which the demographic like age, city, and education are taken into account. Another approach is like social or trust based, which uses our network. And the lastly, the most important thing, which is hybrid system. So this is all from this lecture one. We'll meet soon to discuss about collaborative filtering in the next lecture. Bye then, take care. Allah Hafiz.